All right, so as far as the martial arts tournament, the Golden Era, right? You mentioned that you were part of the old school fighters like Jeff Smith, Fred Hamilton. Can you talk about Fred?
Fred Hamilton wasn't a fighter; he was an instructor.
He was an instructor, and what about his tournaments?
Well, he didn't. He gave one tournament, a full contact tournament, at the Apollo Theater in New York.
Okay.
And Happy Robot Crump beat a very known kung fu guy. I don't want to mention his name because I don't want to mention his name. But
Right.
that was lightweight. He took lightweight championship. My heavyweight had a draw with one of Fred guys, and Fred wrote us a bad check. That's all I want to say. But Fred was but Fred was a good guy. He's not here with us any longer, but
right.
He was the only other guy that stood up for something. No one else spoke. There was a lot of other instructors, black instructors, but none of them stayed on our side. I stayed on our side, and Fred Hamilton did.
What about Grandmaster Sensei George Cofield?
George Cofield, then he had moved away from really teaching. Cofield had the baddest school in New York. And let me share this with you. In 1964, my teacher gave a tournament at West Side High School in Newark, New Jersey, where I fought Cofield's top black belt at the time. And it wasn't LaPup, it was someone else. Cofield was the only school showed up. Going back on that, it reminds me of what I went through when I gave tournaments. Only a few schools stood up, came, because most of them knew they was going to get their tails whipped. And they didn't want to disgrace their system. See, everything was a system. If it was Shotokan, Ishinryu, Guju, something like that, didn't get the support. I went through the same stuff my teacher went through.
Wow.
But I was blessed to create a karate system, which magnified and changed the way karate guys fight right now.
Okay, and how many champions did you produce from your particular school, the KA system?
Well, I produced champions in white belt division, woman division, green belt, brown belt, and black belt. Not one division, but all divisions. And I created one of the prolific fighters this country has ever seen doing katas and fighting, Little KA, which I named him the 8th wonder of the world when he was 8 years old.
Little KA, who's that?
His name was Kevin Thompson. That was his birthday.
Okay.
He's gone now, but I just have to give him a little credence because he did it.
All right, and can you name some of the fighters that he might have fought back then?
Well, the little guys, I don't remember them. He was a peewee. He was a peewee back then.
But he was ranking up wins.
Oh, if you go through the Facebook, go on YouTube, he's all across it because he's the most prolific karate guy of all times as far as tournament play, fighting, and katas. And the katas he performed is the ones I created. He just added some of mixed the katas up a little bit.
Right. All right, so let me ask you, if you have 5 martial artists from the Golden Era martial arts to enter into a tournament with you against 5 other tough opponents, and it could be 5 from any system, what 5 would you select?
Which 5? That's kind of hard. 5 to go against who?
Against another 5. Another
5 against 5.
Right.
Okay.
So this is basically the top 10 fighters.
Some of these are deceased. Edward Thompson is deceased. Him against Joe Louis.
Okay.
Chuck Norris, his weight was I think in his 40s. I'm not sure of his weight. Let's see who I have. Let's say there was a guy in Taekwondo. I can't think of his name, man. And he was a world champion.
Cheeks?
Albert Cheeks.
Albert Cheeks.
Put Albert Cheeks against Chuck Norris. Cheeks would have wiped him out. Now Benny Uiquez, Benny from California.
Is
a Jet.
Right, he was vicious.
If I had him on my side, put him against anybody in his weight class, he'd destroy him.
Oh, shit.
All right. We got.
Speaking of Benny Urquidez, he famously fought against Tyree Cassell too, and a couple other guys. How was that fight?
You want me to? I can't tell the truth, but nothing but the truth. as I'm here today. Tiari Cassell against Benny. Tiari Cassell saved his reputation by going to the ground because he couldn't beat him. He couldn't beat him.
It was two different styles.
No, two different categories of fighting ability. He couldn't beat Benny. He stayed on the floor. I was at that fight.
Because I think Benny was undefeated for
Forever.
a year.
Forever.
Forever, right?
Nobody beat that boy.
Nobody?
No. Nobody
Wow.
beat him. Nobody beat him.
Wow.
And I didn't have anybody in his weight class to fight him.
Well, where was Benny the Jet out of? California?
Yes, California.
And who was his teacher?
I don't know.
But he was a bad guy because
he was a bad man.
His things is all over YouTube.
Oh yeah, he's a bad man.
All right, so we got number 3, Benny the Jet Akrides. We got 2 more guys on the Karriem Abdallah team. Not counting yourself.
All right, not counting myself. Well, I didn't know about Jeff Smith at the time, so I can't count him in, because I didn't know about it. We said Albert Cheeks, right?
Right. Yeah, Albert Cheeks.
We got Albert Cheeks, and he had a partner,
Mike Warren.
Mike Warren. I had both of them. Now Mike Warren, I have him in there.
Okay.
Against who? At that time, I would have liked him to fight Marlo Thompson, a fighter that I had that he was a freestyle crouch fighter. But I think Cheeks would have beat him.
Milo Thompson fought Silky John Davis too,
yes,
right?
Yes, destroyed him. Moses took him out the 3rd round. They were supposed to go 4 rounds.
This is Moses Powell?
He just left, yes. Moses left the place with with him. That's a fact. I have all the stuff too. You saw my albums.
Right.
I have all that in there. And I wrote about the fight. Yeah.
You guys were a part of a great era. So if you had to describe these following grandmasters who were your peers in one word, what would it be? Number 1, Grandmaster Moses Powell.
Dear friend, and one of my peers.
Do you have any stories you could share with
We had a contact. We stayed in contact, and most of our contact was just eyes when we saw one another, how we greeted one another, and what was always pleasant to one another. I remember when Wesley Snipes gave his event in New York, and they had me in the audience. Moses was over there with the VIPs. They always discriminated against me. But Moses came to me at one time and said, Karriem, you think we're going to get paid? I said, did you talk about money before you came here? He said, no, you're not getting paid. And I'm not even thinking about no pay. So we had a contact, and every now and then I used to give him a call.
Okay. What about Professor Ronald Duncan? One word.
Ronald, we never had a close, I don't want to say relationship. That sounds like a girl and guy.
Pause.
We had a rapport with one another, as respecting one another. That's all. But I don't remember him ever producing any good fighters.
Okay. Sensei George Cofield.
Cofield. When I met Cofield, it was later on at Wesley's event. We didn't talk too much. Le Puppet and I talked a lot. Matter of fact, I invited him to come to Newark when I was doing the kickboxing.
Right, I was going to ask you about him next, Sensei Thomas Le Puppet.
Yeah, Le Puppet was a student of George Cofield. A lot of people don't know that. He was a student of George Cofield. Very pleasant person. He made a lot of history, in karate.
Right.
He was a pretty good fighter, but Prentice Newton from my school beat him. After my teacher had died, I didn't enter the tournament that my teacher used to give every year, right?
Wow.
But Prentice Newton beat him.
Wow.
Prentice was the baddest thing around. He was the only guy I knew, and I have photographs of him breaking the red brick on his chest.
Wow.
Yes. And broke a center slab with one finger. I have pictures.
Wow.
So I always mention his name. Like he backed away from the karate scene after the teacher died, but always mention his name. He's the only fighter that caught me with a straight back kick when we sparred. But Prentice was a brown belt and I was a white belt, and I didn't know anything about the defense for a straight back kick. And after that, after he hit me, he pinned me against the wall. And then I came after him and the teacher stopped it. Let me tell you just exactly what happened. It's like yesterday. The teacher said, you stand over there, you stand there. The teacher looked at Prentice and said, how old are you? He said, 17. Point to me, how old are you? I said, 17. Looked at Prentice and said, when is your birthday? I think he said August or something, I'm not sure. When is your birthday? July the 4th. He looked at both of us and said, sit down. That's the last time Prentice and I fought in the dojo. He was saying to himself, as I grew older, you know, started looking at magnifying this thing, that this is going to be the man, you're going to be 1 and 2 always. And that's the way it was. Because when he and I fought in the tournament that my instructor gave when Cole Field was there, it was called the Metropolitan Championship. Me and Prentice, I had defeated George Cofield, top boy. I was catching his punches with my hand on the back. I gotta get that picture out and send it to you so you can see me catching his punch.
So your school and George Cofield's school were the best 2 schools.
Only 2 schools. Cofield was the only one who showed up. This is 1964. That's how the reputation spread it with me fighting and Prentice fighting, because Prentice had beat one of the top guys in the Marines at this championship fight and was eliminated. You know what I mean?
So this is New York versus New Jersey, and specifically Brooklyn versus New Jersey, because Cofield's out of Brooklyn.
Now, me and Prentice had to fight for the championship. And Alan Lee was a friend of my teacher's, right? He was a Kung Fu guy.
Right.
He was a referee. Me and Prentice did 2 overtimes. And then my instructor and Lee got together and they decided to give it to Prentice because he was the top of the class, not because he won the bout. But it was okay. It was okay because I knew that destiny was ahead of me. And me and Prentice is all right now.
Okay. Cofield is in Aaron Banks's extravagant, what's the name of Aaron Banks?
World Karate something.
Yeah, World Karate, right. He's in there with Alex Sternberg and Dwight Hall.
Sternberg was just a student of Cofield. He was a Jewish guy that was a student of George Cofield.
All right.
Okay. Hipping you, boy, putting you up there.